The question is that the motion be agreed to. I call the Honourable Shane Jones. Tēnā koe, Shane.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Hei tīmatanga kōrero me mihi atau ki te whānau ki ngā pānga I roto o te tai rāwhiti, Ngai Tamanuhiri, rongo whakāta me o rātou huanga tainoa ki roto I taitanga mahaki kua tatu mai ki te upoko o te ika I tēnei rā. Haunga no ki te mātakitaki a mātou, o tira ki te tūtei, ki te noho hei hautū I te wairua o ngā kōrero, I te wairua noki, I te akiaki nei a mātou ki eke pai ai o koutou whakaaro I roto I tēnei ture, I whakairongi ai hei whakatutuki ngā naue tūpuna, ngā naue whenua, nā ke whakawhiwhingi atu ngā pānga I tēnei wā, hei kaupapa whakatuputupu, mā koutou mā tātou I roto I ēnā pito o te ao Māori. Nā reira tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Sir, we stand to support the passage of these bills and have done so on all the major settlements of a historical nature because that's how it should be. And it's getting almost tedious that I should acknowledge the work that this particular minister has put into the task.
Very much so.
But one can't escape the truth on this matter. Well, often in politics, sir, things are shadow and light, but on this case there's very little difference between what we would have sought to do and what the current minister is shepherding through the House. Ngai Tamanuhiri not only have waited a long time, but like a lot of other iwi, sir, they're in provincial New Zealand, and the challenge is always going to be how you take these endowments in provincial New Zealand, then turn them into a flow of benefits and opportunities for ongoing growth that meets the aspirations of people who often live in a part of New Zealand where economic growth may actually not be as strong as metropolitan New Zealand. And for as long, sir, as we as Māori actually want to receive our endowments in the form of resources located in our rohe, in the haukainga, etc., then that's always going to require a very special blend of leadership, skill. But that task now lies with the stewards of the settlement. As it leaves the hands of the legislators, there are no shortage of examples as to what can go swimmingly well and what can go horribly wrong. And I have no compunction, sir, in saying once we join together as a body of legislators that the task then falls to the leaders and the generations coming through in relation to the iwi. Sir, I remember the debate as to whether or not young Nick's head should either be lopped off or the name changed. It's fitting to see, I think, sir, as I recall, that debate first surfaced in the days of the former Minister of Māori Affairs, Honourable Tau Henare, and his erstwhile colleague, Tu Wiley, who for a mercifully short period of time I had to tolerate in the fishing industry, but that's another matter. So, Te Kuria Pāua, a fantastic name that reminds both Māori New Zealanders, but also those small number of Kiwis who ought to show a bit more respect and dedicate a bit more attention to our Indigenous names. And I remember, sir, when one of my kids was going to the kura kaupapa, there's a great waiata, and that the son of mine actually shared a class with, I think, Tutakawa Wiley's daughter or son, and they made great play of the song to do with Pāua. And the great line I loved was Te Mimia Pāua. Of course, I'll avoid turning that into English, but it'll enter, sir, the encyclopedic-like record of our House. Whoever, sir, are the ministers of the future holding key roles, such as the Minister of Conservation, the quality of their stewardship in the context of this settlement will come down to the willingness of the bureaucrats to observe the provisions and uphold the spirit of the deed of settlement. And all we can do, sir, is enter into the House's records what we believe we're doing here today, because unfortunately where resources are required to be either shared or manage to serve the purposes or the interests of a community wider than the direct settlement group, you're always going to get conflict. But, sir, we should remind ourselves and try and leave, sir, perhaps a set of parliamentary breadcrumbs for the people of the future who would be in the bureaucracy, that we are hoping to see through protocols a growth in the relationship between this iwi and the future executive leaders, either in the bureaucracy or future governments. And so that's what a relationship, whether we like it or not, is about. And it's going to be either bounded or it's going to be informed by the vicissitudes of that particular time. And that's about all we can say. So the ongoing challenges that the group will face, sir, in relation to land that's going to be restored, the Whareata forest. So there are going to be ongoing issues that this group is going to have to, and other Māori groups, to deal with, i.e. where you get an intersection and a compromise or a balance between Māori aspirations and their settlement forests and New Zealand's international obligations to do with climate change and other such matters. And so these are probably a lot more demanding, quite frankly, than the delay often associated with getting settlements through. So the Select Committee, the Māori Affairs Select Committee, which I have not by and large had the chance to sit on, has actually been well led by Honourable Tau Henare. Now, sir, I say well led because it's more than likely going to take a very large percentage of his CV, which will be required in 2014. So, but given the man has been a parliamentarian since 1993, and I'll have him remember, in 1993, a sprightly, feisty young urban Māori, Raymond Tau Henare, was welcomed by the Anglican Maori pastorate at Pendennis. And so one of our very old kuia, Kaumātua, was still alive, and Tau gave a mihi, and we cooked a feed, and we had speeches, etc. And as we finished the meal, the old kuia turned to me and she says, Koro, did the MP actually arrive today? But sir, we've all learnt as we move on our journey. But in fairness to the Māori Affairs Select Committee, so just before I wind up, I want to share a few observations about an issue that this settlement group's going to have to deal with as well. Once a resource becomes scarce, and the scarcity problem, sir, that we're dealing with at the moment, and there are Māori interests associated with it, is water. And you can't talk about, sir, an ancestor like Pawa, or you can't talk about the resources around the rohe of this particular area without reminding ourselves, sir, that there are deep interests that have yet to be settled. And I wish this group, sir, that are in the House today, good luck and Godspeed in dealing with those issues. But the less that's said of an inflammatory nature about these resource issues, sir, the better. Because it's inflammation that actually protracts the process to getting settlements. And, sir, it's with goodwill, and I believe that on this side of the House we've shown goodwill, and there's been goodwill in the Select Committee. And as we move, sir, to redress the debts of history, we should celebrate the passage of a bill not unlike we're doing today. Sort of frivolity and joviality aside, to the Select Committee, and particularly the Minister and other ministers that may have played a role in expediting the passage of the bill through the background work, etc. Kia kaha, kia manawa nui, kia ora tātou katoa.
I call the Honourable Minister